What's up, everybody? Happy fifth season to Real Talk Chronicles. We are back. We are ready to just have a great season. I got to thank Dr. Corder, my cousin, for joining when she joined, and it was just a blessing to the show. I'm so happy. We got a lot going on. There's a lot that we haven't discussed since the
Yes.
last time we were here, not just from a Dr. Corder standpoint, but just a real talk standpoint. We have Kamala Harris running for office. We have we had a shooting with an officer that what was her name? Sonia Hassey. I hate this that I don't know her name right now off the top of my head. Um, she got shot in the face or headshot because the officer who shouldn't have never been on the job was there, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know he hit six other jobs. He got a dishonorable discharge, I think, from the military. So there's so many things going on. We got Project 2025. There's so many things that we will be discussing in the upcoming season, but we're happy to be back. And listen, this is Real Talk Chronicles. So I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Dr. Marilyn Corder. And this is Real Talk with Dr. Corder. So if you have any questions, first and foremost, rest in peace to James Earl Jones,
Oh my. Yeah.
iconic actor and legendary actor. I also got to give a shout out, a rest in peace to my man Bobby Haywood. His sister Yvette Haywood is a friend of ours. He just passed away last night. Um, Young man in his 50s. So please check yourself out. This is the reason why I do these shows and Dr. Corder does these shows, because we need to stay on top of ourselves, and you never know what's going to happen. And his sister Yvette Haywood is a friend of ours. He just passed away last night. I'm just trying to adjust since I'm a little rusty. I ain't been back here in a minute. So now I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So, Dr. Corder, how are you today?
Hey, hi, I'm in the house. DC is in the house. Hello. It's been a minute. Man, a lot has happened, but we're still here. We're still alive. We're still talking. We're still educating. And I
Yes,
always tell everybody, you need to make sure that you understand what's going on. Stay woke. Stay woke.
yes, absolutely. If you have any questions, please, people, there's a lot of people out there that if it's not you, we know somebody that's having health issues pertaining to something or someone. Please feel free to ask those questions. Do not be shy. Do not act like you do not want to know what's going on, because that will be the problem in the hand. It's just like, let's stop trying to medicate ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like diagnose ourselves with whatever we have and stuff like that. You got a doctor in the building. Ask her. She's here. You know what I'm saying? That's the beautiful thing about it. So come on now. If you got any questions. So Doc, is there anything specifically that you want to talk about? I know there's so many different months that have significant titles and swings. Like I think, like cancer, prostate, stuff like that. But is there anything pertaining that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, we're back at school and we already have had mass shootings, school shootings.
Mm,
And I'm, there was a time I didn't really believe in homeschool. I mean, when I say that, you to each his own, do what you want to do with your child. But
mm-hmm.
I know one thing: if my little ones if they were young, I would be homeschooling, even if I have to bring them to work, because it's so the anxiety, the uh, sadness, the concern. They have these shooting drills. We had fire drills, but now they have mass shooting drills. What do you do? So here you have children already anxious, already, not wanting to be at school, other stressors. And now when you're at school, when that's supposed to be the safe place, where they give you food, somebody's there, people are running in there shooting them.
You know, especially being a prior law enforcement. Oh, there was a attempted assassination. We forgot to mention that on Mr. Trump. But anyway, when we start talking about these shootings, you know, I'm kind of liking, and we can go into a psychological aspect if you want to indulge in that, but I'm liking the fact that they're starting to charge the parents with things.
Yes, because they're the ones bringing the guns in, teaching those. I don't want to say another word. Teaching their children,
Yeah,
heathens, how to shoot, how to aim, and and then said, "Oh, I did not know. Oh, he has psychological problems." But guess what? Y'all all going to jail. Okay, we're gonna show you a psychological problem when we close the door behind you.
yeah, because now it'll make you think twice because the mother. But how crazy is this? The mother calls the school to say, "Yo, do something with my son. He ain't right."
Right.
Well,
You
no,
can't raise other people's kids. And that's a whole nother thing in terms of motherhood, in terms of what they're supposed to do, not supposed to do. It's a sad thing. I'm a pediatrician and I see it every day. And lack of raising a child, lack of parenting. And they may, people say, well, they didn't have parents coming up. Somebody's in their life. Learn something. I mean, come on, you don't have to snatch the child up. And unfortunately, that is what's happening. Now I'm gonna jump all the way back over to women's health. Look, I am to each his own. But if someone is pregnant and they don't want that child, and we know what if they don't want the child, what often can happen after the child is here, and we
yeah,
see that from abuse, uh, neglect, etc. We have to let them have their choices. So that's another thing with Kamala, Sister Kamala's talking tomorrow. If you are a woman, if you know a woman, if you're married to a woman, health of a woman's health is not. It should not ever be in the hands of government.
no, not at all, not at all.
Ever. And
No,
guess what? So we have us doctors who are afraid to say anything, do anything, write anything, because if so, they can trace that prescription. So this is in 2025. They can trace that prescription to your DEA and put you in
mm,
jail. That's
really?
what, that's what's coming down. And if you looked at the DNC, as a matter of fact, we didn't talk about even the DNC. If you look and you listen, there was a few people talking, and my ears always perk up when it comes to health and when it comes to women's health. So they're not just talking abortion; they're talking women's health. Places that you go to get counseling to prevent from getting pregnant, to make sure that your reproductive organs are intact. That's all gone. It's going. It's a slippery slope. And I went to Texas, Houston, back in June to see my goddaughter who was expecting her first child.
Understood.
And I
Uh-huh.
won't say too much except that they ended up missing a diagnosis. They said she had an irritable uterus. It turns out she had appendicitis. And if it
Mm,
wasn't for me demanding, jumping up like a crazy black woman from DMV, demanding that they do a few more things, they found it. And they said, oh, we were going to send her home. Oh, I said, no, you wasn't, because I didn't come all the way from DC. And I stayed in the hospital 2 straight days. I didn't come all the way from DC to see my godchild die. So she ended
right.
up having appendicitis. They did have to do surgery. And the baby's fine. The baby was just delivered. The baby's fine. But that's Texas. There's so many states now that are anti or truly not pro women's health. So I have to tell you that.
Now that's crazy because it's almost now, like I said, I think you and I both we can agree we can play with this conversation of politics. Like I don't think it's any government's right to tell a woman what to do with a child, and
With her
rather
uterus, with her body part.
yeah, with her body. With that being said, it's like where are we going with this? You know what I'm trying to say? Because now you got to run from state to state to just God
Right,
forbid. And
right.
it's so funny and I'm gonna stay on this little politics for a little bit.
Yeah,
But
please.
how many of these people that are talking about their pro life did have abortions in their past?
That's right. And
You know
your
what I'm saying?
daughter, except exactly.
I wonder
Exactly.
how many Trump or anybody, black, white, whomever you are. Listen, people make mistakes.
Right.
Children, you got to be on course with that. if you make it, you take it and you want to be with it, then that's great. Then you
Right.
handle your business. But a lot of times, a child can change the course of a person's life, business, school, not whatever. And
Right.
a lot of these
Right.
people now are just changing this thing, and it's a sad thing to tell a woman what to do with her uterus.
Right.
I really, and like Florida is crazy. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a lot of states right now that's trying to jump on a bandwagon
Right.
with things like
And
that.
what Trump is trying to do, and we know what he's doing. Of course, he stacked the Supreme Court, but what he's trying to do is give it back to the states. And we know, I mean, yeah, and we know what's going to happen. And people are dying. And you have folks who are even victims of rape, victims of a pregnancy that can be a fatal pregnancy to the expecting mother. They're like, too bad, too bad. That fetus
Yeah,
is 6 weeks old, and you can't do anything to it.
yeah. It's a sad state that we're living in when the good old boys, and I'm gonna say it, feel like they can still tell people what to do with
Right.
with their vaginas and stuff like
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, their uterus.
Right.
I mean, and for anybody that's, I'm sure any woman that's had abortion or miscarriage, there's still a little psychological aspect. Did I want it? Could I keep it? Should I do it? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, and now you have somebody, a governing body, telling you, well, you got to keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, let's go with the worst case scenario. You know, God forbid you've been raped, right?
Right.
This is the worst case scenario. And now you have to have a child by a person that raped you. Like,
That reminds you every day of that trauma.
and you're telling me, but think about the psychological game. You're telling me I gotta love this little
Right.
rascal.
Right. Right.
How does that happen? Like
So, and how about the 12-year-old who was raped? And it's like, come on. Her OBGYN was on the DNC. The other thing
uh,
is, so they're so pro-life, but yet they want these babies to be born, but they're anti school meals and breakfast at home, breakfast at school, and lunch at school. So they're cutting those amounts of dollars, but yet they're pro-life. So you bring the baby
absolutely.
in, and the baby's starving.
But you know, you can advocate for uh to be pro-life, but you can't advocate you as much as you're advocating for pro-life, you're fighting as much for not for critical race theory. You know what I'm saying? You don't want anybody to have education on where they came from. You're gonna fight for that. You're adamant about that, just like you adamant about not having children. I mean, or somebody, you know, it's tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, we all could talk, and I know this is something that you definitely uh, can get down with. You know, if any medical questions come up, we'll jump back in. But right now, I guess Doc and I will stay on our conversation. Tomorrow's the debate.
Debate.
I hope people are watching. You know, people are mad, and you know, I'm gonna go there with you. People mad because uh, Biden got out. You and I we discussed it. I think that was the last show we had
Right.
after
Right.
his poor showing in the debate. And do I think he's slipping? I think maybe his verb to adjective game is slipping. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't think his mind is slipping. I just feel him articulating himself was kind of slipping. But you know what? Trump wanted that. He wanted to run with that, and he wanted to destroy that. Now he finally yielded back and he got out of it. And Kamala stepped up, right? Well, she was the next in choice. If you're going to be the vice president, that's you're next in line.
You got to be ready.
Now people want to talk about she reads from a pan. I mean a monitor.
Right.
She like I hate the super woke people. You know, you want to jump on what happened with Israel and Palestine. We get that. I understand that. But right now, I still have a civic duty to vote for somebody here. No matter who it is, I got to vote for somebody. But now you got people just still hating on her,
I know.
you know? And it's crazy. What's your thoughts process on that?
So I'm just gonna say, read what Dick Cheney said. Read what Dick Cheney said. Now we know, well, I know Dick Cheney from way back. Okay, I'm that
Hmm.
old. And of
Yeah.
course, read for Liz Cheney. And they were like staunch. Dick Cheney was a staunch Republican, staunch conservative,
Hmm.
nothing Democrat. But pay attention to what he's saying. The worst thing for all of America, not just Republicans, not just Democrats, all of us, would be to put that crazy orange face back in. He's a lunatic. He is mentally unstable. His family is telling us he's unhinged. He needs to be on meds and a straight jacket and a padded room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Very much
and
so.
anybody can see that. Now, he got the good old boys. He got all these people, that support him because he's talking immigration. But you'd be surprised what's going to happen. It's not just the Hispanic. Anybody whose visa is expiring, anybody, all colors. And he's going to go after everybody who looked at him strange. And
Oh,
we're talking an anarchy. We're talking. He's going to be. It's going to be like a coup. It's going to be like Putin. We go and that's true. So and don't sit back and not vote. Some people say, well, I don't like this person. I don't like that person. My children will come. They're coming here to make sure they cast their vote. And one lives in Ghana, and the other lives in the Philippines. People have died. Think of Mr. Lewis. People have died for the privilege to vote. My mom, before she died, and she was deathly sick with cancer, she made sure she voted. All right. So
yeah.
don't sit on it. Register. We're on campuses now. We're telling, the young people, I know they're busy. Make sure you vote. Make sure you do absentee vote. Make sure that you get your vote in. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. No matter
Yeah.
what the debate, people already have made up their mind, cuz. And
Yeah.
there's some independents that are not sure, and I guess they'll look at the debate. And then you have the Republicans now, Liz and her dad, Mr. Cheney, Dick Cheney. They giving the permission. They're like, okay, you can do this. Go in that, close that lever, whatever, and that curtain, and cast your vote to your heart.
What's so funny? This is the first time in a long time I can remember, and let me just say that I'm not going to say it never happened, but I can remember that some prominent Republicans and conservatives are coming out and saying that I'm not voting, I'm crossing party lines, which is
This is a first. This
yeah,
is a first. I got you by 10 years. This is a first.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
And
yeah,
and and what does that say? And that says that now there's no longer a Republican Party. There's a Trumpies and
yes,
Trumpets, and
yes,
that's it. And they know that. So what has to happen? It's got to die. They have created a monster, and they're gonna have to take it down, and they have to slay it. And it will take voting for Kamala Harris to slay that monster, and
yeah,
then they're gonna come back. And this may even, other than the crazy folks that'll be upset, and they better not do anything. I tell you what, I'm about sick of that.
yeah,
I'm here.
absolutely.
I'm here in Northwest, and my
Mhm.
son is calling me on January 6th. I'm sitting in my office. He's like, where are you? I'm in the office. Do you know what's going on down the street from your office? When they were jumping up,
Yeah,
across,
acting a fool,
acting a
exactly.
fool, coming through with rebel flags, etc. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
we were in D.C. when Martin Luther King died, and the shootings and etc. But I'm
yeah.
like, this is law and order. Oh, heck to the no.
Despicable, despicable, and the hypocrisy that comes from law enforcement people, it kills me. But Wednesday, for those that please tune in, because the fellows will be back, and we'll get into that in more detail. We'll get into that assassination. We'll get into the shooting with the female by that officer. I apologize for not remembering her name. We'll get into this mass shooting. Also, too, I'll tell you all, I don't like, it's so funny how the system plays the game. They'll take a shooting gang related, and now they make it a mass shooting. So now they clump it up, and now you see how the numbers get fudged, where now they'll be talking about, oh, there's just as many black mass shooters as there are white shooters. People, don't get it twisted.
No.
It's only to make the numbers right. Let me tell you something. White people have always been the mass shooters. the domestic violence. I mean, a domestic terrorist.
Right.
Now you want to add people of color because they shooting over gang related stuff or turf wars and stuff. And that element into the
That's
thing.
totally different.
So yeah, so now it's I think what is it more than four, whatever the case may be, whatever the numbers are, and now you want to justify it. Knock it off, please. Knock it off. It is
Yeah.
not that. Let's stay in. I mean, listen, we're both gun owners here. I'm all for gun rights. Now, who needs an AR-15 in their house? Tell me, like, who needs that in their house? Who are you shooting at? If you
Right.
need an AR-15 in your house, and I'm not
Right.
saying I won't get one. I'm not saying my doctor, my
Right.
cousin won't get one. We can get it because I can get it. It's like you can't tell me what kind of car to drive because you can't drive what I drive. But the bottom line is, I'm not speeding up and down my highway just because I got a fast car and you got a slow one. I'm not doing that. But what I am saying is, if every Tom, Dick, and Harry or Jane, Sue, and Jim can buy an AR-15, why? Why? And
They
that
also
go ahead.
they're going after the gun shops as well as the parents. You got to stop it in at both ends. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I said, I'm a gun owner. I
right.
was a former
Same
law
here.
enforcement, so come on, that I had that on my hip for 20 years. I carried it for 20 years, and now I still can carry it. And I'm 10 years removed. So what are we talking about,
Right.
right? But what I'm trying to say is that if I have to if I have to get these guns, and I'm not a hunter, and then now mommy and daddy, first and foremost, let's keep it 100, right? Because who the hell is buying their son or daughter an AR-15 at 14 years old?
Right. Right.
Who the
Right.
hell is doing that? You need to, and if your child does something crazy like that, you need to be taken in front of the parents and that. And if your child has done something so heinous, you need to be taken in front of the parents and explain that to them. Because the bottom line is, explain to me why my 14-year-old has an AR-15 and God forbid went to a school. And you know what's so funny? I was looking at the news and they were talking about the guy, and that's a whole other psychological thing. I don't know if you want to touch that or we can play with it right now. And all the kids were saying, "Oh, dude was always different.
Mhm.
He was always different.
Mhm.
He didn't say much. He
Right.
didn't do much. He didn't talk much." And then the mother calls the school to speak to the guidance counselor and says, "Yo, you got to talk to my son. I don't think he's right today. Whatever." Wait a minute. You couldn't stop. You're the first line of defense for that.
Right. That's why both of the parents need to go to jail.
Absolutely.
When they see a ticking bomb, and that's what that was, they both need to go to jail. Those innocent children, those teachers that algebra, they came to work to help kids. They had no idea. Meantime, the parents, they knew. They're like what you call assist accomplices. They knew what was happening, and I just like I said, the therapy, their lack of the attention, and the teachers they can't raise these kids.
No, no, no. And you know what's so funny?
Mm.
Because I don't, I think sometimes society has changed so much that they have put all these problems in your hands, the school guidance counselor hands, the teacher's hands. And if you want to put them in their hands and pay them a whole whop of money, because there's no way in hell the salaries of a civil servant and they're dealing with these things. You tell me I can't touch your kid. Your kid say what he want to say, talk out of his mouth, say all kind of crazy stuff. And then
Right.
next thing you know, he come back and he shoots me. You know what I'm saying? Because you've allotted him a gun at 14 years old because he
Mhm.
got an F or he talks too much in class, and I'm telling him to be quiet or I took his phone.
Right.
There's so many
Right.
different things, and I don't know, you know, like these mass shootings, the psychological damage that's being done to the kids after that even have to live through that.
Right.
Rest in peace to the kids that got killed or the adults, God forbid. But now we're talking about the kids with the trauma of the
To
aftermath.
witness it. Right. Right. They're not gonna ever be right. Never.
You know, and then people want to understand why people fight for so much and have a certain disdain or a feeling about something because listen, to be in listen, I've been shot at due to professional reasons, but to have a person be in a school or place or auditorium some way and a body coming in and you start hearing gunshots and the first thing is all you are is a window with bars on it and a door.
I know.
Thank God the door was locked
Right. Right.
because he tried to get in the classroom.
Right. 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 Exactly. But they have those health drills or those mass shooter drills.
Yeah.
So
Now
um
you know what's so funny? We didn't even have that when we went to school. It's so funny
no,
how time changed.
we have fire drills.
And
Okay.
and the fire drills was maybe what once every 3 months or something.
Right.
And
Right.
I was trying to go down the fire drill holding a little girl hand. You know what I'm saying? Talk about hi. You know what I'm saying? This is the things that we thinking about then. Talking about, can I call you later? Or can I walk you home? Or whatever. And it was a fire drill, and all I kept hearing was Billy, be quiet, stop talking. Now we're having courses, and people are getting paid to teach you courses on
Right.
how to deal with mass shooters.
Right.
People but the sad thing is it's a business. I'm not hating on anybody. I don't want anybody to say I'm hating because right now I guess it's a viable course. But if I ain't been in a mass shooting, how can I tell you how to be in how to escape a mass shooter?
Right. Right.
I can't. I don't know what I'm. Right now I see this school. It was God was so good. They gave that school. They equipped those that whole teaching staff with a button, kind of pendant that you could push in case of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, like, I think I heard the officer talking, the chief. He said, he said 26 alarms went off from the teachers and staff that had that.
Right.
What's up, Norm? I see you, brother. Shout out to everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. We're back. The doctor and I just chopping it up. If anybody had any health questions, you didn't put them in. So we just going freestyle. And we're talking about things that are pertinent to us in our community and in our life. And we kind of like dipping on a little psychological aspect of what's going on in this country and what's going on in this world. I think, there's going to be a civil war. I think I think you better all be prepared some way, somehow. I think I've never seen a person so disrespectful to a woman.
Right.
And if you don't like her record, you don't like her record. But I don't know how you can't like a record because she's an educated woman, right?
Very much. They showed, it was a news show yesterday. They showed how she's had more experience than all the other nominees for decades. And he's talking about she don't have experience. She's brilliant. She's brilliant and has climbed up the ladder the hard way.
Yeah.
And just the haters, because I'm like, what more this lady's supposed to have done? She has done it all and knows a lot, and they just hate her. She's a black woman, and it's disrespectful, and that's why we all need to get out and vote, because it's right before our eyes, the disrespect, and we can't have that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm so tired of the super woke people. You want to talk about her record as a prosecutor? Let me tell you something. She's a prosecutor. She did what she did. Let me tell you something. I tell people out here, and I'm telling anybody now that's listening. You don't want people to bring up your past. Sometimes you may just stay out of the past. And now we ain't talking about Trump's past, because he just said not too long ago that he said the migrants are taking the blacks and the Latin jobs. I don't know what jobs he talking about they taking from me, because I'm not mopping and cleaning and shit. That's not what Billy Forster is doing. So they're not taking my job. Now, if you telling me migrants is coming in this country and they're becoming doctors and law enforcement and civil servants or something like that, down. Okay, now you got
Good
a
for them,
point.
right, right. But
You got a point. But what jobs you talking about? You equate to me as blacks and Latins. And you know what's so funny? I get annoyed. I'm not gonna say I get mad because to each his own. I get annoyed when I see people of color, no matter whom they are, what color they are, of what Latin, if they speak Latin, Spanish, or they speak a black, I mean African American, jump on this. Oh, oh, she did this, she did that, and then I had a person say to me, he said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about Trump." So I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I like his policy." So I said, "Well, what is his
what
policy?"
is the policy? He don't even know.
He said, "Well, the border and he's on crime." People, please understand. Trump cannot do anything on crime. It's all down to the states and the
Right,
governors and the mayors of those cities and states. He's not doing anything because if he did, when he was a president, he would have did something about Chicago.
right,
And he didn't. And
right.
understand, people, some of you have to do your homework. There are a lot of red states that had just as much crime as New York State,
Yeah,
or any, or not New York State, any Democratic state. How
right,
about that?
right,
If you do the
right.
numbers, anybody Google it, look it up. My man Norm says, hold on, let me see. Shout out to my man Norm in the building. What's good, brother? He says, I think should all have I think we will have a civil war no matter who gets in office. If Trump do not get elected, it's war. If he gets elected,
Interesting.
it's war.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Very good point, bro. Very good point. It's a sad state of affairs, man, Norm. That what's your take on that, cuz?
Well, people have been saying that, and you know, I think for a minute I was in denial, like, oh no, that can't happen. But we saw what happened when they were doing like January 6th, and he's already telling folks. And like Norm said, if he doesn't get in, we know there's going to be something happening. All right, and we got to be ready for that. The military, the police officers, we got to be ready for that. With Kamala, I mean, with if Trump were to get in low, and I don't even want to say that, um, maybe there may be a civil war. But I know one thing: we may as well have a civil war because to overturn him would take a civil war.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
he gets
And
in,
I had a person ask me, they want to talk about the economy, and he's all talking fluff. Yeah, okay. When he was in office, he looked out for people because he allowed his brethrens and stuff like that, um, to hire more people because he gave them more tax breaks, so they was able to get jobs and stuff like that. So you hiring people at minimum wage. You know what's so funny? Mark Cuban just came out on a post. I posted it on social media, so if you want anybody that wants to see it, go to my Facebook page. I put it out there. Mark Cuban just came out and said, he said, what has Trump ever done for anybody except his family? Now, Mark Cuban is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks,
oh yeah,
and he is probably one of the most pronounced hirings of people of color
hmm,
in his organization.
right.
I think his chief manager of like basketball operations is a female.
Hmm.
His general manager of the team is a black African American. So he does his thing in
Right.
supporting people of color, and you got to salute him. I appreciate. Norm says, "How is Trump as a convicted felon able to run?" Norm, that's a good ass question because the bottom line is,
And that's what Kamala is asking people.
mhm,
Come on, and then the thing is, not only how is he? People are voting for him, and they're like, oh yeah, he's the underdog, and they don't like him, and Department of Justice is weaponized against him. No, he's a felon. He's a criminal, and there it is. It's white privilege beyond.
and listen. This is what let's keep it gangster with this. If a felon, a 34 convicted felon can run for a president of the United States, then for anybody that takes a test or applies for a job application, it should be off there if you ever been arrested before.
Right, right, right.
Let's go down a rabbit hole because the bottom line is let's stop saying, well, you know, listen, sex offender. This is a white collar crime. We get it, but he's still a felon.
He's still a felon and
Still a
indicted.
felon.
Right.
He can never vote in New York State again. You know.
Hmm.
So we have to understand where we are with this and the hypocrisy that goes on and and stuff like that. Because people got a lot of BS with them. They really do, cause they really do. I'm saddened by this. Um, you know, I can't wait to see this debate tomorrow. I will be glued to the TV.
Right.
Um, and I'm sure if she is as thorough as she was as a a lawyer, first as a lawyer, and then a district attorney, and then a state senator, if she was as thorough as that, and what I know of lawyers,
Yeah.
they dot all their I's and cross all their T's. She should be fine. You know, she people galvanize about what have you heard about the Divine Nine? How are they responding to it? Did you hear anything about that? Are they with her? Yeah.
Yes, as I'm a member of the
Yes.
Divine Nine, we not playing. And some of the sarcasm that people, oh, she went to, was one of the sororities that Zetas that they were
Mhm.
having a ceremony, and just some dumb people. Oh, college, this is summertime. School's not even in. The Divine Line is for life, be it when you finish college, etc. So I'm like, oh, this is how they go. This is how they go. So I'm a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, but
Mhm.
she's an AKA. We all are backing her, and all the fraternities are backing her, and that's why there's something called a red wave. We got her. She's a Howardite. She's a Bison. I'm also a Link. So it's not just the Divine Nine. It's us, but it's other organizations that she's part of that are empowered, and we're empowered and empowered. And we'll see. That's the right after Biden stepped down, graciously stepped down, and said, she would be the one. 40,000 of us got on a call that Sunday.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we was invited to that. Yeah.
40,000, and we raised millions
Mhm.
of dollars that night. So that's where the Divine Nine is. We are there. We are there.
Mm. That's what's up. I love it because the bottom line is she needs the support. I listen. I'm looking at anybody crazy. I had a person say, "Oh, don't vote for her just because she's black." Well, why not? You might be voting for Trump because he's white or he's a Republican.
But
There might be multiple reasons why I vote for her.
so
But
what needs to happen? You need to listen to Trump's brother, his nephew, his niece. There was a talk yesterday on YouTube, and, and I pulled it up, and it was his brother Fred, who's dead, son.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, he talked about that Trump doesn't care anything about anybody. He talked about how this fella has a child who has disabilities, and Trump basically told him, he don't know you, he don't recognize you, just kill him and move on.
Mm.
It's like Putin, okay? And Norman is right. Felons cannot hold an office. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't know the Constitution as well as some, but I
Yeah.
do know this: he's a felon, and it's like, what is that about? But he is going for again the highest job in all of USA with 34 counts. It's it's beyond comprehension.
It's crazy. It is crazy. I don't understand anything about it.
And it's
Um,
close. I don't know if you're looking at the polls every day, five times or so a day. My phone, with Bing, and we're talking about the different polls. People are still voting. People still think, and maybe it's a fluke, but it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. You know what's so funny? Um, I like the fact that she was. You know what's so funny? That's why him and the hillbilly were so upset because when Kamala took over,
Oh yeah,
she it was a breath of fresh air.
yes, it was joyful.
Yes, it was the fact that she was able to converse and articulate herself, and the fact that it was just like, whoa, like maybe time is now. Because a lot of times, a lot of people, the rumblings, we were scared. We was like, we don't know if she's going to be able to hold that candle, because is America ready? Is white America ready to have a woman of color in office? But listen, she got, well, hopefully she got the African American community. She should have the Asian community, and she has a Caucasian husband. So
Right.
listen, she connected all the dots.
She
You know
she
what I'm saying?
that's right. She is the melting pot.
Yep.
And on her record, on the fact that women's rights, health rights, is no longer in their own hands. It's no that in and of itself. Not to mention the fool, the clown who's running against her. I mean, that's all. I don't care what you blue, you're independent, you're red. I don't care what you are. It's like 1 + 1 = 2, and we have a one very qualified a prosecutor, and we have the other one who needs to be in jail running against each other. It's simple.
Absolutely.
Elementary school kids can tell the difference. They're like, what are we talking about? So I don't know. I mean the debate, but we have what 60, we have 58, 59 more days. I'm just marking it off. I cannot wait till November 4th. I cannot wait. Yep.
as I as
We're
I
gonna
tell
be dancing
people,
in the street. We're gonna win. Now let me
that's what I
just
tell
say,
people. That's what, like for Christmas, I said I want to go to
right.
bed early just so I can get to that day.
I
You
know,
know
I
what I
know, I
mean?
know. And we will win. We're gonna win.
Well, listen.
But it'll be sore losers, and that's what I'm afraid of. It would be sore losers, but we're gonna win. We taking
Well,
this.
I know tomorrow, if she aces out, which I'm sure she's going to do, I just know that, right, that will just set all the flames, because the bottom line is all she has to do is just keep her cool and answer the questions. And let me tell you something, knowing how lawyers are, shout out to the lawyers, like, you dot your I's and you cross your T's, and you know how to interrogate and you know how to debate.
And all she has to do, and she knows how to do this well, is minimize him. He hates that.
Yeah.
Just dismiss him and minimize him. And the fact that they're going to mute, and I'm glad they are going to mute his mic. She didn't want him to because she wanted the world to see, but I want her to get her points out. So I'm
Yeah.
glad they're going to mute him. They need to muzzle him, but they're
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
they're going to mute him, and she'll get her points out. So she's not playing. And,
And
and,
then did
and
you see that he wants to do something with the 25th Amendment? In fact, that he wants to have vice presidents something. I think I posted it on social media. Something happens with the vice presidents if they don't speak up against a president that wasn't doing the right thing. Well, then you need to get Pence and any
oh
other
well,
person,
okay,
because that's why he's not even endorsing your goofy
right.
behind.
He will never
You
vote
know,
for him, right? So
shoot,
you
you
got,
know.
like I said, you have Republicans that are like, no, we're not doing this. So what does that say? So, but I like, who I liked? D.L. Hughley.
Mm-hmm.
When he talked at the DNC, and he said this, and I want to put this out for all people of color who maybe didn't know her, didn't like her, or whatever. D.L. Hughley said, do your homework and understand where she's coming from and understand how brilliant she is. And he apologized
That,
nationally.
that that was big for him to have her, and they did an interview, and he apologized to
That's
her.
right. That's
He
right.
did.
He said, and she said, just Google it. Now, meantime, what is it? The five guys and um Central Park Five.
Yeah, the exonerated five. Absolutely. Yep.
He still hasn't apologized. He took $1 million ad out, to get them locked up, and they were innocent, and he still hasn't apologized. I'm like, what? Y'all can talk about Kamala all you want to. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
and a shame on you know, you'll have people. Let me tell you something. And I've heard former law enforcement. Oh, there's something funny about that case. They were really guilty, but something, I knew the detective. I don't give a f who you knew. The bottom line is, when it happens against some person of color, you're like, oh, if the court of law says they're guilty, then we go with the court of law.
Right.
So now the court of law said they're innocent, and now you want to talk about there's something funny. There's some
Right. Exactly.
no. Let's keep it 100. If you want to ride that wave, then ride that pony.
All the way.
But don't go with it, because the bottom line, they're exonerated. So somebody did something effed up in that. Nobody said they guys were angels, but what we did say is they didn't commit that. You know,
exactly.
that's what we're
That's
trying
what
to
we're
say.
talking about. And
But
you know, the other day, even Amarosa came out. I was like, where is she? But Amarosa said he's crazy. You know, oh, he tried to bribe her. He said, come back, Amarosa. I'll pay you $20,000 a month to be quiet. Now, you know
really,
what? We like money. But she said, nope, I'm not doing it. You know, for life, out of the campaign money. They promised that he had Laura Trump go to her 2 or 3 times and dangle this money. Dangle first of all, I'll give you another position, but dangle 20 grand. How many folks? 20 grand per month for her not to do anything, but for life, but not to talk about.
everybody, that's a Real Talk Chronicles moment. If you didn't hear it before, you just heard it right now. And the crazy thing about that is, you know what? Bless her, because she had walked on that other side for a minute. She wasn't invited to the cookout, but you know what? The fact that she turned that down, all right,
Okay.
you can bring her. You can bring her.
And we'll
You
give
may
her
not
some
get a personal
watermelon.
invitation, but you can bring her.
We'll give her
Exactly.
some watermelon.
Yeah. And but the thing is that you think we just so easy and gullible that you could just offer us money. Yeah. But you know, what kind of contract, because that you would have had to sign that 20,000 a year to do nothing for the rest of my life.
Right.
You would have to sign that, because I'd have put you on the test. Right. Norm says, I hope Miss Harris puts a cabinet together and have Miss Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, let me tell you something. She ain't gonna do it, but it would be great if she
could
galvanize some stuff like that. The bottom line is, I'm glad she took this whole week for the most part to come to Pennsylvania and prepare.
Right.
And that just shows me she coming in. She gonna have her due diligence. It's like a prize fighter. All right, champ. Listen, don't get worked up. Don't let them disrespect you. But you know what? She might have to give him some of that little divine nine or that sister like that. Don't disrespect me and don't say nothing crazy.
That's right. I ain't going out like that. That's right. Hello.
Yeah, but you know what's so funny? He's lucky that he get the last thing, and it's a shame that he'll be the last voice that we hear from that debate. And I wish fact checking was on site, because it's always funny the day after there's fact checking, and people always say, "Oh, that's social media, or that's mass media." They listen. It's so funny how I find I've had conversations with people that want to be super woke, because they really do. They want to find a super Google person or the super site that says, "Oh, this is not true. This is not that. This is not that." Listen, the bottom line is, you listen to Fox, and you don't say Fox is bogus. So now you want to sit here and tell me CNN or NSBC is bogus, or whomever. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's promoting the news or speaking. Knock it off. I can't wait to see tomorrow. I will be ready, willing, and able. I will be awake. I will be ready. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Dr. Marilyn Corder. This is our first time back in September. We'll stretch it to the summer, and because I think it's going to be a cold winter. For these nights, it's getting cold. I don't know. In summation and closing, do you want to tell anybody about flu shots and not flu shots or whatever anything is?
Well, there's so many things going around now. Polio's going around, but pertussis, the whooping cough, is going around. We're going to have that RSV back through. People calling me, oh, you got the RSV shot? No, I don't. You just got to get to it. I'm telling you, these masks are still valuable. Okay? Masks are still valuable. Don't be looking at people funny when they have a mask on, because they're going to be the ones tell the story in terms of even being healthy. So we've had cases of COVID. It's a easier to deal with COVID, but people are still dying from COVID. You have to keep your immune system up. So flu shots are coming out. But if you put your mask on, because COVID's around, RSV is around, there's the mosquito, the triple, and I'm fighting a mosquito now and here. There's a triple E mosquito that's paralyzing folks. So
Really, really.
yes, yes. So all I can say is be aware of your health. Make sure you follow through. Get your numbers, not just your blood pressure and your A1C, your weight, but definitely you want to know what's going on with your body. And if it's beginning to act different, don't sit on it. Doctors are overwhelmed. We got burnout. It's not enough of us in the system. It's not definitely not enough of us to look like this. But we 5%. But at the same time,
Absolutely,
you can
absolutely.
have a good doctor that doesn't have to be black, but as long as you make sure that he or she is doing what he or she is supposed to do, be your own advocate for health.
Mm.
That's your body. You can't. We're not robots. You can't go to the store and get a replacement like batteries. We are. This is it. What we were born with. This is it. Make the best of it. You don't have to succumb. I had a patient today said, well, this is in my family, this is in my family, this is, and I get that. But you know what? That can still be changed. When I say can be, if you begin to say, okay, prostate cancer is in my family, diabetes is in my family, okay, I got it. But you can pull back and do better. And even if you have diabetes, you can definitely be living with diabetes, not diabetes being you. Okay, so it's all I can say is just know because people are dying. This is the season. I was two funerals. That seems like sometime my outing, but going to these funerals are not so, you know, not so uncommon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vera with the wonderful last name. She's not related to us, cuz, but I adopt that name. She
Yes.
says there's a whole new generic makeup to these
I knew.
mosquitoes flying around now. The
I
bite.
know.
Mm,
I know. I mean, they just coming at you. Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Yo, Norm has a great question for you. Uh,
Huh. It's interesting. Um, if I were to, if I were to answer that, I would say it would be something that we have that we all eat. Like, they just talked about that deli meat that was causing listeria. If it's
yes.
something that's contaminated, and it may even be planned, something that we are all of us are partaking, and it may not. I don't think it's going to be the water, but it could be. So I don't really know. What do I think? I think we're going to see something, and I think in a matter of 2 or 3 years. So just
Yeah.
be prepared.
The name you don't know, and then and I can respect that. For those people don't know that you were involved with the Flint situation in New
Right.
Orleans and stuff like that. So I always tell people, she's Googleable. If that's not a word, but I always say
So,
that.
so they called me. Steve Harvey called real quick and asked me, did I know anything about not about lead? I'm like, oh yes, I do. We do lead levels all the time here. And he said, and they also said, are you a community doctor? I said, y'all obviously don't know me or see me. So they flew me up there, and we did. And that Flint, those children's brains were fried with lead. And Flint, Michigan, lots of my husband's relatives live in Flint. He's from Detroit, but they also
Yeah,
lived in Flint with the factory. So it was near and dear to my heart. But definitely now we have to band together. We have to make sure. I'm just going to say family. We need to reach out to our family members more and make sure that they are all okay, no matter where they live, but that they're all okay.
everybody, that's Dr. Marilyn Corder. I am Bill Forster. This is Real Talk with Dr. Corder. We are back. This is the first one we jumped off in September. It's good. I'll be here Wednesdays with as Stefania affectionately calls us, the cop crew. We're coming back. I'm trying to have more doctors and more things, more conversation, more things to stimulate your mind. There's a lot of things that could give you brainless thoughts, but you got to foster the moment with this. You know what I'm saying? This is Real Talk.
I like it.
Everybody, Doc, any positive affirmation before we get out of here?
Watch tomorrow. Stay woke. I may pull up on your Wednesday because it'll be the next day after.
Yeah, you
Whoa,
should.
whoa,
You're
whoa.
more. You're
Huh?
more than welcome. You're more than welcome to come and join the party. You know what
All
I'm
right.
saying?
Okay.
Everybody, Real Talk. Have a wonderful evening.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Doc. All
Thank
right,
you.
get
Love you
home safe.
guys. Bye
Love you.
bye.
Bye bye.